Hi guys, we're going to review the simple interest rate formula, I equals P times R times T. In reviewing this formula, it's pretty important that we understand what the four letters in the formula actually stand for. So let's talk about them individually. Big I is standing for the interest. Now this amount can either be earned or it can be charged. It depends on the problem that you are doing. We're going to do a couple of examples so you'll have an opportunity to kind of review those. Principal is always going to be the starting amount, whether we're investing money, meaning we're saving it, or whether we're borrowing it, like in a loan. R is always going to be an interest rate. This is given as a percent, or you could change this to an equivalent decimal as well. And this is going to be the percent we're earning or being charged depending on our type of problem. T, of course, is always going to stand for time in years, and that's how long we're going to invest it or how long we're going to borrow it, like in a loan. So let's take a look at the first problem here. In problem one, we have a person, John. He's opening a savings account by depositing $750 at 5% for 10 years. Our job is to figure out how much interest he will earn on his investment. Because we're opening a savings account, this is considered an investment. So we're going to start by using this formula, I is equal to P times R times T, and we're just going to multiply the three values together. Now, down here you can see that I'm telling you that the principal is equivalent to $750. And that's because that's what we're starting with when John opened his account. The bank he's investing it in is offering 5% rate of return on his investment. So you can use your percent key on your calculator, or if you write it as a decimal, remember you drop the percent symbol and move it 2 places to the left. So that would be 0.05. And time is given in 10 years. So we're going to start with that formula. So our formula, remember, is I is equal to P times R times T. Now when you use a formula, you're just going to fill in all the information you know. Since we are looking for the interest John is going to earn, I'm going to leave I is equal to. For the principal, we said that that is $750, so I'm going to place that in for P. I'm going to leave my time symbol there. The rate is 5%. Now I'm just going to leave it written as a percent because I'm going to use my percent key when I make my calculation. Then the year is 10. So all I have to do is multiply these three numbers together. So if you've got your calculator handy, go ahead and enter those amounts. 750 times, now if you're using your percent key, enter 5 and then the percent symbol, times 10. When you're finished with that, you should get an amount of $375. Now, because I'm talking about money, I am going to use my dollar sign here. So that means that John earned $375 on his savings account. Now, if I talk about how much he has in his account at the end of that 10 years, I would take his initial deposit of $750 and I'm going to add the interest of $375. At the end of 10 years, by doing nothing other than just depositing the money and leaving it there, John will have a balance of $1,125. That is your reward for saving money. Now, if I just want the interest he earned, that's just $375. So you really have to pay attention to directions when you're doing problems like this, because sometimes they'll ask you just for the interest, which is $375, or maybe they'll ask you how much he has in his account at the end, and that would be $1,125. Let's try another example. In this example, we're not saving money, we're going to borrow money, like in a loan. So John is borrowing $5,000 at 4.75% for 5 years to pay for his college classes. In this question, it's asking you for how much interest he's going to be charged. Then it's asking you a second question, what's the total amount he'll pay back? The good news is you use the same exact formula, and you can see that right here, and all we're going to do is multiply. I am giving you what each one is equal to. The principal is $5,000, the rate is 4.75%, or written as a decimal, 0.0475, and for 5 years. So starting with that same formula, to figure out how much interest he's going to be charged, we're just going to multiply those three numbers together. So I'm going to leave big I there. I'm going to enter 5,000 for P times the rate, which is 4.75%, times 5 years. So if I multiply those three together, I'll give you a moment to go ahead and do that. You should end up with the same amount I do, $1,187.50. Now this is just representing the interest. Now if I want to know how much he had to totally pay back, you want to take that $5,000 and you're going to add the interest he had to pay to borrow the money. Remember, when you borrow money, banks just don't give you free money. You pay an interest rate to borrow it. So if I add these two together, in the end, John will have paid $6,187.50. The interest alone is right here. That's the cost of borrowing money in this case. If I add it back to what he borrowed, this is what that loan ended up costing him in the end. Our third example has to do with what happens if you don't get time given in years. So in this example, John is investing $10,000 at 4% for 6 months. How much interest will he earn? Well, the difference with this problem is we have our time given in months instead of years, which actually isn't a problem at all. When you enter time into your formula, you're just going to divide those months by 12. Why 12? Because there are 12 months in a year. So for this one, I'm going to use the same formula, P times R times T. And when I fill in my time, I'm just going to fill it in as a fraction. So we've got 10,000 for the principal, I have 4% for the rate, and my time is 6/12, or if I reduce that, it was just 1/2 of a year. So when you multiply those three numbers together, you should get $200. Now, since this is an investment, that means he earned $200 in interest. So at the end of 6 months, he'll have his $10,000 that he started with, plus the $200 in interest, and he'll have a grand total of $10,200 in his account. So your homework for today then, you're going to use the link that I attached on this Google Classroom page. There's going to be 10 questions. I think you're really going to enjoy this game. You'll need your calculator. You will be finding the interest on each problem, and then you have to select that amount of money from a cash drawer. I think you'll really like it, so have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow.